Before we dive into this episode, check out the podcast notes to book an appointment with an AIB mortgage advisor. Welcome to Brendan Courtney's My First Home with AIB, the podcast where we celebrate the joy, chaos and triumph of buying your first home. Each week I sit down with guests who share their journeys to home ownership, from saving every spare cent to the day they finally get their keys. These stories will give you hope that your dreams can also come true. Welcome to Brendan Courtney's My First Home with AIB. My guest this week is Jenny Claffey. Jenny is an Irish podcaster, content creator and influencer. Her podcast Red Room looks at conspiracy theories and unsolved mysteries. But perhaps the greatest mystery of all for many of us is how to buy our first homes. But Jenny has great advice. Jenny's journey will hopefully inspire you to pursue your dream of home ownership and to learn from her mistakes. It's all possible. Jenny Claffey, content creator, podcaster, influencer.
I guess.
Yeah, totally. So you tell us a bit about your podcast.
So my podcast is called Red Room. It's a
Great name.
Thank you. It's true crime and unsolved mysteries is mostly what I do. So we publish seasonally and weekly on like all the apps, and then also weekly throughout the year, even when I'm off season, on Patreon. And it's mostly focused on Irish cases, is what especially on Spotify and stuff, because I feel like there's not a lot of people really deep diving into,
I love it.
the Irish cases and just more niche stuff, like cults that happened in Ireland, stuff that I didn't even know about. So it's so fun.
How long are you doing it?
I'm doing it 4 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to deep dive into that straight away. And you do it all yourself?
I do. Produce, host, edit.
Which is going to be interesting when you explain how you got a mortgage, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. Explaining that to the bank was fun,
I bet. So tell me about your property journey. So where are you from?
So I'm a Northsider. I'm from Glasnevin. We moved to Clontarf when I was about 17. And then now I'm living in Marino. So Northside through and through.
So you stayed around the Dublin 3?
Yes, exactly.
5.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah, around that area.
Glasnevin's 5, is it?
Glasnevin's 9. But I'm actually quite in the middle of the two houses now, like where my mum and dad live now and our old house.
So. Do you know the north side is all uneven numbers and the south side's even?
I know.
Did you know that?
My dad told me that when I was younger.
Okay.
It's always stuck with me. I don't know why.
I love telling people that. Did you know potato was short for potato? But that's all anyway. So when did you first move out of home?
So the first time I probably moved out was when I moved to New York after college. So I did a graduate visa. And then when I moved back home, I moved in with my mum and dad. I was in college during the recession. So I don't know, I always lived so close to town. My mum and dad were happy to have me there. So I lived there during
you're in
college.
Clontarf.
Yeah, super
Why would you?
close.
Yeah.
And I went to college in town, So there wasn't, and I also had a lot of friends living, so I could crash in their house, what I mean? In their little bed sits and stuff. And then when I came back from New York,
Where did you live in New York?
I lived in Bushwick.
Okay.
Yeah, in Brooklyn.
Did you rent a room or?
Rented a room, very grim room.
In a very busy house or?
It was 2 roommates. We were all working different shifts, very anonymous New York, but I didn't even have a window in my bedroom.
You see, that's a property journey.
Oh, yeah.
That's a prison cell.
Oh, yeah. And my roommate was a bit of a hoarder.
Okay.
As I'm an incredibly, a huge hoarder. So there was just stuff everywhere. It actually drove me mad, but it was really cheap. And I had a lot of friends. I was
kind of
staying. Yeah, it was just somewhere to lay my head,
Yeah.
I had a ball still. So I was there for a little over a year, moved back, and obviously had to get a job. And I think the economy was just about this is around 2014. So it was there was more opportunities, right? And I knew I kind of wanted to go into social media marketing. So I got an internship at Benefit Cosmetics and I was working there. But for years, I just made barely any money, to be honest, just really bad wages. I couldn't afford to move out. And my mom and dad were just save, just whatever you can. I paid them a bit of money for rent. And then they were just save your rest because at this point, just kind of get a bit of cash. So worked for a while. And then I met my now husband and I was lucky enough that I could just inherit his lease when I moved in with him, basically. I don't actually know how I would have done it without him, because even at that point, I was self-employed at this point. I was making pretty good money, but anytime I just looked for apartments, it just seemed so daunting, and who am I going to live with? I think.
So you definitely couldn't have afforded to live on your own? You would have to share it probably, yeah?
I definitely would have had to share, yeah. And then it was just, I think by that stage, I was like 28, 29. I was like, oh, do I want to have a roommate? And who am I going to move in with? And, you know, thankfully then Ev asked me to move in with him because basically I was living there anyway. And he was like, you better start coughing up some rent.
So Evan Doherty is a very established and successful photographer.
Yes.
Who I think I've worked with a couple of times actually. Great guy. So when did you meet?
We met in 2019. Well, actually, sorry, we met in 2017 through the industry and through work. But I was in a relationship and we were just kind of like, just more acquaintances. Like we'd see each other on nights out, but we wouldn't be like, you know, talking a lot. I actually like hated him the first time I met him.
Oh, go on. That's funny.
I just thought he was so obnoxious. I was like, because he was just, he's so
nice.
He is, but he's such a wind up. You know, he
yeah.
loves slagging. And I was like, I think I was hungover. We were at a festival all together. It was on like a brand trip. And on the way home, he just kept winding me up. You know, typical straight lad, you know, like, yeah, negging
classic
you.
Flirting technique. That's a slagger.
Slagger, yeah, real Irish guy technique. I was like, he is so obnoxious. And then
he's cute.
Yeah. And then we started dating in 2019 then. And yeah, we got married in 2023.
Okay, so you dated for 4 years.
Yes.
So when did you move in together?
We moved in together in 2020. I think it was within about a year we moved in together.
Well, needs must.
Yeah, I think like also like when you're a bit older, you just kind of like, he was 35 at that stage. I was just turned 30. It just like, I was there all the time anyway. He was just like, you may as well just like move in.
And was this in a leased apartment?
Yes, he had lived there for a long time out in Malahide. So he had lived there about 8 years.
Okay.
So it was under his lease. We had a roommate for a while. Had to like kick him out. When we got engaged, we're like,
bye.
Can you move? It's kind of weird that you still live with us.
That's the opening scene from a play, isn't
literally,
it?
it was like, I'd say he just was dreading me moving in there. He was like,
it happens to everyone.
It does.
I've been on both sides of that.
Yeah.
It just happens.
So we lived out in Malahide then from 2020 until 2023 when we moved.
You bought your house.
Yes, we bought our house, but we did not move straight into our house.
So you are a dyed-in-the-wool first-time buyer.
Yes.
You are just gone through it.
Yeah.
So first of all, macro view of the whole process. How was it? How do you feel about it?
Now, I was really nervous going in because obviously we're both self-employed.
Yeah.
You know, so it was kind of daunting. I had a different podcast for a while, so I had changed and I was kind of going, I don't know if that's going to affect anything because at that point I'd only had that podcast, the podcast I do now, for 2 years. Even though I was still like registered as self-employed for that, it was just very daunting for me, you know, because I always heard like how hard it is and it's so terrible and the paperwork. And I was just like, dreading it, to be honest. And Evan was really the driving force in us getting a house, to be honest. But I actually had a really easy process with applying for a mortgage and everything. I'm good. If you give me a list, I'll just do it.
So give me the timeline. You got married before you bought?
No.
Oh, go on.
Yeah. So
you did it all.
Oh God.
One fell swoop.
We went through a journey. So during COVID, Evan was really toying with the idea of like moving to the countryside. And I was like, I'm not a country girl. Like I was even just a little bit outside Dublin. I was like, I don't want that. And then he kind of started to twist my arm a little bit. And then I just kind of realized, I was like, Evan, like, I understand that you want this like house that we have like, you know, more land and more space. But I was like, it doesn't make sense if you're always going to be working in Dublin City. So you're just going to be spending more time in the car. I'm going to be, because I work from home. I'm like, I'm just going to be on my own.
In the shed. Yeah.
In a shed with the dog, like waiting for you. And you're going to be in all this traffic. The traffic's only getting worse. So I finally like pulled him back in toward Dublin. And then we were like, realized really what we wanted to do was, you know, cut down his commute because as I said, we were out in Malahide. It's only getting busier there, really. So he was just spending more and more time in the car. So I was like, let's move somewhere where, like, if you can get the bus, or it's like, you know, only a 15-minute drive at nighttime if you need to load up the car or whatever. So we finally got on board with that. Then in 2022, we were going on holidays, and when we landed on the plane, my brother rang me and he was like, he was minding our house. My brother rang me and he was like, your landlord just dropped in with a letter. We were like, Oh no. First time he comes in, my brother's in the house with the dog that we're not supposed to have, and we're getting evicted. And we're just like in Italy on the plane, on the tarmac in a Ryanair plane. I was like, great. So we kind of got the boost.
That's everyone's worst nightmare.
But it was good because it gave us the kind of
boost
shove. So we ended up overstaying our lease. We stayed for like a year because we were just like, we're buying a house, so just bloody let us get the mortgage,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
So then
So
we...
the landlord was good then in the end.
Yeah, eventually, with a few solicitor's letters, they were fine.
Okay.
Because everyone was like, I've been here 8 years, like... Do you know what I
Cut me some
mean?
slack.
Yeah, like, I mean, I've always paid, we obviously still paid the rent and everything, so whatever. Anyway, they were grand. We stayed then, and then we applied for our mortgage. I think it was, we began the process in April.
AIB's team of advisors are here to help you on your journey to get the keys to your own home. Click the link in the podcast notes to find out more.
I remember we submitted at the end of May. 2 weeks later, we got approved.
Amazing.
And then 2 weeks later, we went sale agreed.
Wow.
I know, we had a wild, like
Once
really
you were
lucky.
Out, you were out.
Oh, we were really, it all happened really fast for us. Then we had on the other end, the delay, but it happened really fast for us in that regard, yeah.
And this is the house you live in now?
Yes, yeah.
But you had to move back in with your parents?
Yeah, so...
Stinger. I had to do that as well in my 30s.
I know.
In my little box room.
I had to do it with the dog. We were newlyweds, so I know, it was awful.
So hang on, give me... Let me just settle on that for a minute.
So...
You're newlyweds with your little dog.
Yeah.
Your parents have pets?
2 cats.
Oh, what the hell is going on?
I know. And my brother was living there as well, working from home. My parents are both retired. So it was like it was like a Brady Bunch. It was
First
crazy.
of all, your parents are sound. Thanks very much.
Yes, oh God, thank God. Well, actually, we didn't give them, I was like, we're moving in with you. After the wedding. They were like, what? I was like, sorry.
On the wedding day, yeah. By the way, can I have the keys?
Yeah, literally.
Why did you have to move back in with them?
So we bought in October. We got the keys October 13th. And the house that we got, so we were focused more on the area. We really wanted to live where we live now, which is in Marino. And this house that we saw, we'd actually seen it come up on Daft or whatever it was. I think probably about 4 months in the very early stages. And Evan had sent it to me and I was like, oh, there's too much work to do in that house. And I knew the road we live on, the houses tend to go for quite a lot. It's quite a sought after road, particularly. And I was like, I just always had in my head, I was like, that's just going to go for mad money over the price, you know? And then we went to see a load of houses. Me and Evan were so trigger happy. We bid on every house we went to see. Yeah, every single house. We were like, love it. Once we found out about that online bidding, we were like, love it. It's like eBay. So we were like...
You're also desperate.
Oh, fully. Like, we were like, I could see myself living here. And it was all around the same area. But we kind of started to realize that a lot of the houses in the area, they didn't really have a big garden. And if they didn't have a garden, there was no kind of scope to really do much. And even if the house looked like it was turnkey, it still needed rewiring. It still needed replumbing. It still needed
it's an old area.
Insulation. Yeah, it's an old area, you know? So we were kind of going, oh God, like you'd get away with maybe 5 years. But then once you get a new boiler, you have to do the insulation. So then we were like, right, my dad always said, buy the worst house in the best area. He always gave them because they always did that. Like my mom and dad bought a house in Glasnevin that I grew up in that was like this old red brick house. It was in bits. All their friends were buying new builds in the 90s. They bought it for like, I think it was like 70 grand in the 90s.
Wild, isn't it?
I know, but all their friends were buying houses at that time for 30 grand. So everyone was like, you're insane for doing this because it had like an 80-meter garden. It was huge.
And it's magnificent now.
Yeah, we ended up selling it, but you know, they were able to sell it for so much. They haven't had a mortgage since. So they moved to Clontarf then and they've been mortgage free since 2008, 9.
Couldn't be happier for them.
I know. Well, it was great for me because I was able to move in. So my dad always said that.
That's great advice.
Yeah, he was just like, you know, you'll make your house your own, and you know, if you like the area, you'll always like the house. So then we went back to that house, and I actually
You went full circle.
Yeah, we went full circle. Evan was like, it's still up. So he went out to go to.
So you're going, okay, what's wrong with it?
Well, that's it. I was going, well, and Evan was like, no, it's grand. So he went and had a coffee in the coffee shop across the road, and he was sending me pictures and all, and he was like, I could really see us here. And he's just so like, he was bet into this house. And I was like, okay, grand. He rings them up and they wouldn't give us a viewing. They're like, look, there's already 2 offers in. People are already bidding. One of them's half cash. We're not giving you a viewing. And Evan was just like, you're giving us a viewing. He's like, you are. So then,
wow.
I know. And I actually had to go to the viewing by myself. Evan was in work in Romania. So I viewed the house and then we bought it without Evan seeing it.
Wow.
And it was like kind of in bits. Like,
they're like the most determined couple I've ever met.
I know. I was.
You're like, we're getting the house.
I was so nervous though because I had to go in, viewed it, and like, you know, I just found the whole process bizarre. I'm like, I have spent weeks pondering over a pair of shoes or a bag that I bought. That's like,
This one.
and then I was like, €500,000. Oh yeah, 15-minute viewing. Like, what the hell is that about? It's so crazy. So I was going in and,
it's crazy.
trying to tell Evan, I'm like, look, there is a lot of work to do, which you could see from the photos, but I was like, it is a deadly house and it's way bigger than any of the other houses that we've seen in the area, much, much bigger and a much bigger garden. And Evan was
great potential.
Yeah, it had so much potential. We had to do the whole convincing them because I think the estate agent was afraid that I think he thought I really wanted it. He knew Evan wasn't here and he was afraid, obviously, if they accept our offer, Evan's going to come home and see it and be like,
no,
we're not buying this house, So I was like, you're going to have to ring him.
And
convince him. And, Evan had to be like, I've got a studio in town and it's old and we're used to, we don't mind. That's kind of what we want to do.
This is a whole new world, isn't it?
And you're just kind of learning as you go.
This isn't even to the buyer. Or the seller,
yeah,
this
the seller.
This is to the agent.
Yes. And then
this kind of is the gate guard.
Exactly, the gatekeeper,
Wow.
And luckily the people we bought the house off were amazing. So it actually has a really interesting story. The house has only been owned by one family since it was built. So it's built in 1925, and then it just went through the family, and their son was living there, and he's probably in his 60s at that point. And I guess they just realized
it's too big.
It needed a lot of work. He didn't have the money to do it. Let's just sell it and split it amongst the kids. It was 3 of them. So they were really just into people buying the house who wanted to really love it and put a lot of effort into it and restore it to I guess its former glory.
How did you get to find out all that lovely information?
We actually met them.
Oh.
Yeah. So we met the owner, and he actually gifted us. He was so sweet. He gifted us a camera that his granddad brought back from World War II, and he gave it to Evan.
Oh, wow.
Because he was like, I know you're a photographer. He was a really, really lovely
They really wanted
guy.
you to be happy there.
Yeah, he was really nice. So we were annoyingly we were the people who came in and nabbed the house at the last minute, because there was one couple apparently, and they had builders in. They were half cash, and we didn't go up too much over their bid. We had to put in a pretty good bid, but I think we only went 10 grand over their bid. But the family just liked what we were, just a young couple. We had got married in November. We were getting married that November, and so we got the keys October, and then got married, and then we were like, let's pack up all our things and move back with mom and dad. Very romantic for a newlywed.
Now the thing is, this started off as terribly tragic and worrying, but actually on the foundation of it, you have a house.
Yeah, totally.
On your wedding day, and your parents know it's short term.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
short term-ish.
Do you know what? We weren't with them too long, but it just kind of.
You had to do very basic work, did you, to live in it?
We could have moved in. It had oil, it had heating. It was kind of, it wasn't in the best nick.
Okay.
It did need work, but you could have, if you really needed to, you could have lived in it. Now I would have been miserable.
Yeah.
I was at one point, Evan had his friend over, and he was like, oh, it's grand. Just get a few carpet tiles, close this door. You can put a little fake, literally. He was like, in this room, you can put a fake kitchen with an air fryer and a microwave. You can live in that for 2 years. I was like, can we go back to the bloody lovely apartment we lived in?
Yeah.
I felt scammed. I had full buyer's remorse at that point.
Did you?
Yeah. I was like, what the
Did you get overwhelmed by it?
Yeah, because we knew that it was the best choice for us. Any house we saw needed a load of work. Really, it did. The bones of it needed work. They were cold houses. They all needed new windows. There was loads to do. But this one was just more obvious because it didn't, it wasn't all dressed up on the internals.
Yeah.
So then we were kind of stressing over it. We'd had a couple builders out, and then one of Evan's friends is a builder, a contractor, and we got him out just to have an opinion of what do you think we need to do? He gave us a list, and he was like, look, this was right after our wedding, so to say end of November. And he was like, look, I have a cancellation in December.
Wow.
So I could, and he's like, and I don't have another job till April.
You two literally make your own luck.
I know. We were very lucky, but it was very daunting because obviously you've just spent your entire life savings on this house. I'm already paying the mortgage for a house I don't live in. And then he's giving you a bill being like, this is how much this is going to cost.
Okay.
And, at first we had always thought that we'll do it slowly over the years and blah, 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 blah. But, if anyone's done up a house, first, okay, you need to replumb. And you need to rewire. So then you're chasing the walls. And then no builder's like, it's no point putting in a new boiler if you're not doing the insulation. Yeah. And then you have to replaster everything. And then you need new floors.
It's a domino effect.
It's you need everything done. And then it's you're 60 grand in, then it's well, you may as well go 100 grand in or something. You know what I mean? it does spiral, but ultimately you're like, right, if we can do it now, especially all the kind of the bones of the house, like the invisible work, which is the worst stuff to pay for.
Yeah,
like I go through my house now showing people the before because they're like, oh, you got your house done up. And I'm like, oh. I'm like, wait till you see. I'm like, see these walls? They were not like that. So
very important.
I know. So, you know,
You should have a little exhibition in the hall.
I should, actually. They should all get a PowerPoint presentation before they come in and judge. So then we ended up doing the whole thing. Now, we didn't build anything because I would have loved to if I was, loaded. So we just did like the whole house it's all new inside. Okay. Everything is new. Everything, like the walls, other than the floors upstairs, we kept them because they're really nice original floors.
Lovely.
And our staircase is still the same because it's the original. And like our big thing was really keeping the we wanted the old house look.
Charm.
So like even to the point like we made our builder take all the moldings off the walls and keep them and then put them back up.
Nice.
And all the door frames, and we made him like replicate the skirting boards so that they just had that kind of character, because we were like, I wanted an old house, so I don't want it to look completely new on the inside,
Nice, yeah.
But yeah, it was very stressful. I would never do it again, honestly. I was stressed with it.
And so you were living nearby, you were living in Clontarf, so
yes.
Not far away. How long did that take? How long did you have to live with your parents?
They started renovation in December and we were in the house in April.
That's good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. And we still had a little bit to do, but we were able to move in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And did you take a mortgage break at the top? No. You had to start paying.
Oh no, yeah, we were. I'm like, what's a mortgage break, and how can I get that? No, we were paying immediately.
You can in some banks take a mortgage break for 6 months. I took it for 6 months.
Oh, I would love that.
I
loved that.
I was renovating. My renovation took a year and a half.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's not about me. I don't want to bring you down this dark road.
I'm already like, oh God.
Yeah. It would make your podcast, put it that way. Crashes and people in cars. And all
man.
But so that's like less than 6 months, and you're in.
Yeah, we were.
That's really good.
It was, because we didn't build anything.
Who is this builder?
I know, George. He was amazing. He was great, but we didn't build anything, so it was all just mostly internal, and also there wasn't much demolition in the house because it was pretty sparse. Like people kept messaging me on Instagram, being like, you could get that abandoned house grant. I was like, well, it wasn't abandoned. So I was like, thanks for saying that about my house, but actually someone has lived in this up until like last week.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just, just kind of, he just wasn't able to take care of it. And it's hard. Like,
it's an old house, it happens.
It's hard.
So what you bought that, you see the house, you come back 6 months later, it's still available, and you go in there and you get it. So you're very determined.
Yes.
What was the list of priorities in the renovation? What did you get done first?
So, I mean, I guess we got everything pretty much done at the same time, but the biggest priorities for us were we needed full electrics. Like this was chased on the walls. Yeah. Like it was low-key a fire hazard. Yeah. We had to change we had an oil tank out the back, so we had to get our gas done. And then we had to get like a new boiler, a completely new plumbing system. And we had a few knock-ins of walls and stuff, but that wasn't really priority. It was more, that was the first chunk. It felt like nothing was happening for ages because it was all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it happened like really fast. I felt like once they started knocking down walls, it was like, oh, and that was kind of exciting. Did you have a difference of opinion with Evan? With two people doing it? Was there ever anything you clashed on? Yeah, there was one thing that like I've learned about Evan. Like I'll just kind of I'm sure a lot of women will say this. I just let him think it's sometimes his own idea. Like I'll just drip feed ideas, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Do you know what would be a good idea?" And I'm like, ah. And then AIB's team of advisors are here to help you on your journey to get the keys to your own home. Click the link in the podcast notes to find out more. And then I wanted to put in like pocket doors in between the front room and the back room. And Evan was like, and he said something that pissed me off so much this day. He's like, oh no, like when I'm sitting and watching TV, I don't want to be smelling the dinner being made. I was like, oh, you don't, do you? Okay. And I was like, I know. He's a very nice man. He is. I'm putting him on blast a little bit here. And I was like, no, I've like, for the flow of the house, can we not just have like these doors? I was like, I'm telling you, even just for light, like, because, the sun kind of goes around our house. So I'm like, you want to be able to like let the light in from different angles. And then I kept pushing. And then like, it was literally like the last thing. He was like, maybe we can put these doors in there. I was like, that's a fabulous idea. And our builder was like, oh, like, I mean, obviously because we were like adding things on.
Yeah.
And that was kind of at the point of the renovation where we were adding on loads of stuff that we were then like, oh, we've no money for this.
Okay, yeah.
Because, you know, you're just smashing away at stuff. And
Did
then
you use a quantity surveyor? No, just a builder.
Just a builder. Yeah. So he's a contractor. And to be honest, we were so lucky. Our house is really strange. It's a poured concrete in situ house. So it's not brick, it's all concrete.
Wow.
So it's like every contractor came, they were like, this is like a bomb shelter. There was no damp in it. It was like bone dry.
Wow.
So we got no surprises whatsoever. The only surprise we had is where our kitchen is. We have like a little galley kitchen, and it's a small extension that was, I think, built by them in the 70s.
Course.
And there was just no insulation in the ceiling. And he's like, you're going to need a new roof. That was the only thing. And that, to be honest, it wasn't too bad price-wise. So we were really lucky in that way, because I think, you know, as you know, when you're doing a renovation, you're just dreading the like, there's mold in the this, or there's wood rotting here.
That wall fell down.
Oh God.
I had a quantity surveyor. I called her the dream crusher. She's like, no, you can't afford those windows.
Yeah.
Get those windows. I'm like, oh,
I know.
I
know. Evan's like, he's more of a, he'll be like, fuck, we just get the more expensive ones. And I'm always like, no. And he's like, oh, whatever. He's like, I prefer to just get the one we want, rather than, you know, thinking 5 years changing again. So he's better at pushing me for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but you're more grounded. You're more practical.
Yeah.
So tell me this, the process.
Mm-hmm.
Two self-employed people.
Yeah.
It does sound a bit like it's a stretch and it's scary, but was it that big a stretch, and then was it that scary?
I always tell people now in the industry that I'm like, you know, we're both self-employed. Like, that's rare in and of itself. So I always want to tell people that it is possible, because I think what put me off it for so long was people being like, oh, you're self-employed, you can't do it, it's terrible, you can't. And I was always like, well, what's the point in me even trying, you know? And we were lucky that we were able to get the mortgage, and we were able to get enough. We actually were offered more money than we needed. So our whole thing was really like, I just want the smallest that we can. You know what I mean? Like, it's still not a small mortgage. But like, you know, I was like, let's not go tempted.
Yeah.
You know, because they were offering us, you know, if you want to build an extension and all. And I was like, no. I do not want to be repaying that for like 35 years, you know? So the process was fine. To be honest, they didn't ask much on Evans. I did have to pay my tax early. That was a bit of a shock. And thankfully I had the money there, because I was a little bit like intense about that. They were like, okay, you need to basically show that like you can pay your taxes here. So that was the one biggest shock for me, but I had the money there.
But then once it's paid.
Yeah, then it was great, because I had the renovation to pay for. But so that was the biggest shock, I think.
I'm self-employed as well. It's challenging in of itself. It's just the old role.
I think more people are self-employed now though. So I think banks are getting a better understanding with the like, I think that's what I felt anyway. Like,
and so you lived with your parents, you move in, you're living there. How long are you there?
In the house now, we are there since April 2024, so about a year and a half.
Oh, so it's still a new house?
Still new. Oh, yeah. It's still very new and very unfinished in parts.
Is it?
Well, like, I say unfinished. I think I talk it down to people. They're like, this house isn't unfinished, but like, we only just got wardrobes in our bedroom.
Okay.
Like, there's clothes still on rails upstairs.
Yeah.
Downstairs is looking pretty good, but there's still like, I'm really particular with like furniture, and I'm real like, I only want to buy it once. I don't want to buy crap that I'm then throwing out.
Yeah, see, you're so clever. I had to learn the hard way.
I mean, I've done it though. I've done that before, where I've bought stuff and then thrown it out and then getting rid of it, and then I'm like, how much have I spent? I may as well just buy the one that I want.
Yeah.
And then I get a bit too obsessive over that. I'm like, it's not perfect, you know. So there's still gaps where I'm like, eventually there will be a fabulous like sideboard there or whatever, and you know, everything's minimum like 700 quid. So
when you see the thing you want,
I know,
and then you obsess on it.
Yes.
But then that's called visioning, and you'll get it eventually, right?
It's true.
When you get the keys to your first home, what's the feeling like?
It was surreal.
Was it?
I think it was really surreal for me, yeah. I think because it happened quite quick for us. Now, it was a while till we got the keys, but it did happen really quick. I couldn't...
It's so funny. It happened really, really quick, and then I got really, really slow.
Yeah, exactly. It was really fast, and then all of a sudden, and then I kind of got that... I was like, oh my God, what have we done? Because like, as I said, the house wasn't like, you're not walking in like, my fabulous new kitchen and my new floors. It was like, oh my God, now we're actually kind of starting everything else.
Yeah.
So I did have a bit of that fear. I was like, oh my God.
And also what I'm getting from you though as well is that level of open-mindedness meant that you could buy a house.
Definitely.
You have to be really open-minded.
Yeah, we were really open-minded. We kind of took it as it came. We weren't, once we were just like all about finding the area we wanted to live in. And that made it way easier for us because then you're just kind of, you're just pigeonholed and zoned in on this one area and finding the house in that area, you know, roughly, you know, within a
Well, I love your dad buy the worst house in the nicest street.
He always said it to me and I ended up doing it.
Yeah.
And I did exactly what they did. Like they bought this house and did it up as they went over the years, and it was a fab house and it was gorgeous by the end. Like I would love to still live there. But, you know, they did well for it, you know, and I think we're the same. Like the area is just so nice. We love where we live. It's a lovely community feeling, which we really like. And it's an old established area, so you know there's no massive risk of, you know, huge apartment blocks being built here, and you know it's really nice. And a lot of people, the people who live there are a mix of people who've lived there for their whole life and then kind of people our age moving in, and everyone's really helpful. So I think that was it's like, you know, have your idea of, I think for us it was where we want to live, and then like make the house your dream house eventually. You know, there's no rush in it.
And what's your one big piece of advice for first-time buyers?
I would say,
because you're really new to it as well, and actually you've described a market that I don't recognize.
Yeah.
In that the you know, it's very much about the gatekeeper now.
Yeah.
But also you got to go. You're just very determined as well. You got to meet the owners and you became kind of buddies with them. Like that's all those little things fell into place for you, which was a little bit of luck, a little bit of determination, and then a combination of the two, right? So given you're very determined, so it was going to happen anyway. But what's your piece of advice?
I do think that what they say is true. That you know, the right house will find you. You know, now sometimes me and Evan we'll drive by a house that we bid on, we're like, thank God we don't own that house, you know what I mean? But like just in a joking way, and like it is true. But I also think that like
that's funny.
Try not listen to all the horror stories. I understand that we definitely had some luck, 100%, but you can get a house. And I think there was just, for me anyway, I got so afraid of the idea because I just heard how horrible it is. And there's just a lot of options, I think, in ways of like what you're going to buy.
And be open-minded.
Yeah, like be open-minded and, you know, don't narrow yourself down too much in where you want to live. Like be able to change fast, I think is a thing of being going, okay, do you know what? We thought we want to live in that area. The houses actually don't suit us. Let's just move on, because you have to be as fast as the market is moving. The market does move fast and it does take over your life for that short period. But like, you know, you do have to be kind of like shark-like and laser focused and go, okay, we're getting this house. And I do think if you really want it, like you will get it. But also, you know, there was other houses that we lost out on and you just have to go, okay, move on. You know, there's no point in sulking. And it happened at friends of ours, you know, they were like 3 months in the process and then the house falls through and they were the same. They're just like, right, up and just like, let's just go.
Don't take it personally.
We'll just go find another house.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to do. You can't let it knock you down too much and knock your confidence, because you're just buying something at the end of the day. It's not about you, you know, it's like, and even if, you know, I've known people who got rejected for mortgages, you just start again. Okay, 6 months, let's go. Get our stuff, get our ducks in a row. It's a process. It's not a personal attack. You will get it. Even if you get rejected, you'll get a line of why,
and you know what to do.
Yeah, you just lock in, spend no money for 6 months. It's terrible.
And move back in with your folks.
Exactly.
Hi mom, hi dad.
If you're lucky enough, maybe you can have someone to help you out. Yeah.
And finally, the cat and the dogs. When you move back in with your dog and the two cats.
Yeah.
Just as a dog owner, what? Oh my God.
So we had kind of teased this in because they'd minded our dog Elle for a while, but she is like,
she's a dog.
She's a little Pomeranian. When she would see specifically black and white cats, she would just chase them all the time and she'd be screaming at them. But we had them in the house and my mom's real like, oh, the cats, you know, she loves our cats. So she'd always be keeping them real separate. And when we moved in, I was like, no more of this. I'm not doing the shuffle. I was like, Elle is sleeping down in the kitchen with the cats. She was like, oh my God. I was like, Elle is terrified of the cats. The minute we came in, Missy, the black cat, bam, like swiped across her face, just immediate, like, and Elle was like, oh. And then her and the Siamese cat Katsu, she's like a little bit more afraid of dogs, so she'd be kind of wary. But then they ended up, we were just like, I was like, if you put them in there, Elle will leave them alone. And if not, the cats can just jump on the table and then smack her. I'm like, let Elle learn the lesson. It's not her house. And she has. And then it came down one morning. I remember my dad said he realized when they were all friends, he opened the door to the kitchen, they were all standing shoulder to shoulder, looking up at him. And he was like, there you go.
So they're all friends.
And I was like, I told you, they'll be fine, you know? So they're like, I mean, Elle loves going to their house now.
And your parents are never getting rid of you.
I know when we came back, actually, the funny thing was the first time we came back after moving into our house about a week later, Elle came in, our dog, and she saw Katsu, the cat out the background, and she tried to run up to her and say hi, and the cat just legged it. I was like, no, that's never going to happen.
Listen, Jenny, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Your story's inspiring and it'll inspire a lot of people. Yeah.
Good. Thanks so much for having me.
Don't mess with Jenny.
That's it.
But wait, there's more. Each week on My First Home, AIB home advisors Anne-Marie Elliott and Marie Smith join us in the studio with expert advice on starting your home journey. Welcome to the podcast, Marie Smith. Here's what she had to say. So we chatted to Jenny Claffey, and her photographer partner are a very sexy young couple, but they are very, very much freelance.
Okay.
And what I've discovered is when freelancers come and sit at this table, they almost kind of apologize for being freelance, even though I've found freelance people tend to be the most dynamic because the hustle is real and they're constantly, selling themselves or selling their business. It's no barrier, is it, being freelance?
No, there's not. And I think there's just this common fear that if you're self-employed, it's going to be harder or you're not going to get it. And then I suppose you're building up to maybe things you've heard before in the background, maybe from someone else who's self-employed. The only difference is a we need a few more extra documents here. Documents that someone who's PAYE doesn't get. So we need your 2-year trading accounts. We need to make sure that your tax is up to date. But it's very simple. There's a list of documents. And when you meet with your mortgage advisor, we'll go through that. There's nothing to be for it to make it any more difficult for you to get your mortgage. It's just the same.
We talked to Jenny about understanding your financial position, and that is actually one of the tools in the mortgage toolbox. You need to assess your financial position, don't you, at the start of this journey, and your mortgage advisor will help you do that, right?
Yeah, so there's a list of documents, obviously, whether you're self-employed like we just discussed or whether you're PAYE. So get your little folder out there and start gathering your documents. We're going to look for your pay slips. We're going to look for your salary certificate. This is a document that's filled out by your employer. I mean, you might have variable income. You might be getting a bonus every year. We're going to look for the pay slip from that. Once we get all these in together, we were able to actually to see where your affordability is at, how much you're earning, and then we go from there. But it's a key part in knowing what's available to you and how to get your mortgage ready and what properties are within your reach.
So assess your financial position.
Exactly.
Is the takeout.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Before we dive into this episode, check out the podcast notes to book an appointment with an AIB mortgage advisor. Thank you so much for listening to Brendan Courtney's My First Home with AIB. We'll be back next week with more unique and uplifting stories to inspire you on your journey to owning your first home. Bye for now. Allied Irish Bank PLC and AIB Mortgage Bank UC are regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.